So let's talk about darkness. There's a place called darkness. And it's not a metaphorical place. There's a real place called darkness. It's not a metaphorical place. It's not really a physical place. It's a spiritual place. But it's a real place. Just because it's spiritual don't mean it ain't real, right? I mean, spiritual is more real than physical. God is a spirit, and God made all this, everything, all us, everything. God is responsible. So everything you see was spiritual before it became physical. But anyway, let's go back to this place called darkness. Now, have you ever found yourself in a position where you feel like, I don't know if this is wrong, and God hasn't showed me that this is wrong, so I know I'm not doing wrong. The Bible said the blind are without sin. So that place where let me give you a better example. Let's say you go and sit down in a place where nothing but murderers are while they're murdering people. Now, let's just say you go sit down in the midst of that. Now, you're not killing nobody, so you're not out here sinning, right? Everybody around you is killing people, and you're sitting in a place where they kill people at, but you're just sitting there. You're not participating. That's darkness. That's that place of darkness when you're just sitting there idly and you're not doing anything for God. I'm not talking about laying down, going to sleep. I'm not talking about eating your food. I'm talking about in a place where you know God is not. That's darkness. Whenever you're somewhere where you know God is not. You should never want to be somewhere where God is not involved. Because if God ain't there, guess what is there? See, darkness is a place that's attached to death. Death and darkness go hand in hand. If you look in, I believe it's Ecclesiastes chapter 6, verse 4. It talks about a baby being born, and a baby being stillborn. And it talks about how everything about that baby is shrouded in darkness. His name is shrouded in darkness. Because that's death. Death is in darkness. Give you another example. In the Bible, in Matthew, in 3 places, chapter 8, chapter 22, and chapter 25, all in Matthew, Jesus talks about hell, and he calls it outer darkness. He says, this is a place of outer darkness where there will be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Wailing, that's a horrible, screaming, crying, like combined together, wailing and gnashing of teeth. See, in chapter 8, Matthew chapter 8, he talks about, he says that, at some point we're going to be in the kingdom, sitting down eating with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So he's talking about heaven. He says, but the children of the kingdom, when he was talking about the Israelites, he said the children of the kingdom, he said that they are going to be, he said they're going to be tossed into outer darkness, where there'll be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Now he's talking about the Israelites who didn't believe. The verse right before, when he starts talking about the outer darkness, he talks about how there's no faith in Israel. So what he's saying is the ones who believe on him are going to inherit the kingdom, and the ones who were supposed to inherit the kingdom, they're going to be in a place of outer darkness where there is wailing and gnashing of teeth. Now he's talking about hell. Well, that's what death is, right? That's where you die, where evil ones die and they go. This is a place of death, hell, darkness. That's outer darkness. That's what Jesus calls it, outer darkness. So let's talk about the inner darkness. If you look at Matthew chapter 6, the Bible says that your eyes are the lamp of your body. And it says that if your eyes have darkness in them, your whole body is filled with darkness. What does a lamp do? A lamp lights up a room. A lamp gives light. If this whole street right now was pitch black and somebody far away had a lamp, I would be able to see it. I can see that light on a lamp. You set a lamp in the middle of the room for everybody to see. So if your eyes are your lamp, that means I can see the light in your eye. Now, you may have to have some spiritual discernment for this, but I've always been able to look in people's eyes and discern something. And think about it. You could look in somebody's eyes and see when they're angry. You could look at the eyes of your child and see when they're sad. Think about your parents. How when you knew they was mad, you see that look in their eye. So it's not just emotional, it's spiritual. It's deeper than that. I've been able to look at people in their eyes and see when they was homosexual. I'm telling you the honest truth. That's why I say it may call for some discernment, but the Bible says the eyes are the lamp of the body. So if I can look in your eyes and see some darkness, that means that your whole body is filled with darkness. That's what Jesus says. That's the inner darkness. That's the darkness inside of a person. So we talked about the inner darkness. We talked about the outer darkness. Now, if you look at 1 John chapter 2, I believe it's, I'm pretty sure it's verse 11. It talks about how if a man says he hates his brother, then he is walking in darkness. He's walking in darkness. And he's not able to see the darkness because the darkness has blinded his eyes. See, a lot of us be in darkness and we don't even know we there. A lot of us be walking around in darkness and don't even know we're there. And a lot of times it's not us. It's usually because of something that we're affiliating ourselves with. That's where the darkness comes. See, it's not necessarily a sin, but it's a place where death is, and it's a place where God is not. So imagine if you got a group of friends that you hang out with, and I have to get on my children about this because you may have somebody in your life that doesn't know God and doesn't want to know God. They don't know Jesus and don't want to know Jesus. They have no intentions on getting to know him. They may humor you when you speak about Jesus, but they have no intentions of going that route. And the two of y'all hanging out all the time. This is your buddy. Well, guess what? If you're not bringing this person to the light, this person is bringing you to the darkness. Every time you hanging with that person, you hanging with darkness. You're just hanging out with it. You're in darkness and you don't even know it because you got darkness around you. You have darkness in your life. See, the Bible says in Psalms chapter 1, verse 1, blessed is the man that does not walk in the counsel of the ungodly. You see, you can miss out on blessings by hanging with people who do not know God. It says, blessed is the man who doesn't walk in the counsel of the ungodly, nor sit in the seat of the scornful, nor stand in the way of sinners. That means if you just standing somewhere where you ought not be, you missing out on blessings. Just by standing somewhere where you should not be. So it's not for us. Darkness is a place, a real place. It's a spiritual place, and it blinds you. It blinds you, and death is there. So do you want to walk around all day with death right on the side of you, holding hands with death, hanging out with death? There are certain people we got to cut out of our lives. There are certain things we have to change. You may be doing something and you may feel like, well, I don't really know if this is a sin. That sounds like darkness. That sounds like darkness to me. But one more verse. Psalms chapter 18, verse 28. He talks about how God can light his lamp even when he's in the darkness. You see, again, let's say you in your house and everything was dark, all the power go off. Y'all know we just experienced that. You know, a lot of these things that God has been giving me to teach all seem like they're connected to this hurricane that we just dealt with. But just imagine if everything in your house, the power go off, right? All it takes is one person to light up a cigarette lighter, and everybody gonna see that light. With that being said, there is not an amount of darkness that God can't light up. No matter how deep you are in the darkness, God can shine the smallest light to lead you out of that darkness. God can cut on a light and light that whole darkness up. You see, it's just that easy to get out of darkness. So there is a way, but we don't want to be in darkness because it blinds you. There's death there, and it's not a place that God hangs out. Therefore, it's not a place for us. I've been walking around for a few days in darkness, and guess what? I didn't know I was in darkness. I really didn't know. And when God brought me out of that darkness, I say I was probably sad for probably about 3 days, because while I was in darkness, I had no awareness of it. Something I had going on in my life, some people I had in my life, and I had no idea I was in darkness, was doing nothing for God. And it took me about 3 days to shake back and feel better, because once I came out of that darkness, my eyes was open, and I'm like, Lord, what have I been doing? So that's all I got for y'all. Just remember, like I say, darkness is not a place for us. It's a real place, but it's not for us. Love y'all. Be blessed. Be watchful.